All right, listeners, are you ready to get a little spicy today?
Always ready.
Okay, good. Because we are diving deep into a fascinating book called 1,000 Years of Sexual Wisdom,
Yeah.
which, might sound a little intimidating. 1,000 years is a lot of years,
It is.
a lot of wisdom.
But it's pretty fascinating stuff.
It is.
And today we are going to be sharing some of the highlights.
Yeah, basically this book explores all sorts of ancient sex rituals and practices from different cultures all around the world. But it's not just about, the history of sex.
Right.
It's about how we can apply this ancient wisdom
Yes.
to our modern lives.
Exactly.
Like, how can we learn from these ancient cultures
Right.
to enhance,
Our own.
pleasure and intimacy today? So get ready to spice things up in the bedroom.
Yes.
All right, so where do we begin this journey?
Well, I think a good place to start is ancient China
Okay.
with the Tao of Love.
The Tao of Love.
Have you ever heard the phrase sex as good medicine? Well, that's a core principle in Taoist thought.
I always thought it was kind of a metaphor.
Right.
Like just, being good for your well-being.
But they took it pretty seriously.
Oh, really?
Dating back to the Han Dynasty,
Wow.
which that's like 2 BC.
So they were really onto something back then.
Yeah, they believed that cultivating sexual energy, what they called a sexual elixir.
A sexual elixir.
Oh, yes.
I like it already.
Could actually enhance your vitality, longevity, and even contribute to spiritual development.
Wow, they were thinking long-term.
They were. The Yellow Emperor, for example, who's this like legendary figure in Chinese medicine, he was said to have pursued this elixir for immortality.
Immortality.
That's what they say.
Wow, that's a pretty ambitious goal.
It is.
But I mean, immortality aside,
Right.
I'm guessing there were some more practical benefits that people experienced as well.
Absolutely. So the Taoists, they developed all these techniques
Okay.
to cultivate and channel this energy. And one example is the breath of pleasure.
Okay, breath of pleasure. I like it.
It's this practice that involves deep synchronized breathing
Okay.
and pelvic floor contractions
Interesting.
during foreplay.
So it's not just about letting things happen naturally.
It's not a passive activity.
It's about being mindful and, in control.
Exactly. And by controlling the breath,
Okay.
they believed that they could actually enhance sensation
Interesting.
and connection, making the experience more powerful for both partners.
That's fascinating. So it's kind of like the way that yogis use breath work
Mm-hmm.
to influence their energy, their
Yeah.
state of mind.
Very similar.
Okay. Were there any other techniques that they used?
They did. They also developed something called the power lock, which involves specific muscle contractions
Okay.
during sex to enhance orgasms and potentially even achieve multiple orgasms.
Okay, now you're speaking my language, power lock. What does that involve?
Yeah. It's kind of like creating a circuit of energy within the body. So imagine this. You're curling your toes under.
Okay.
You're tightening your buttocks and thighs, tucking your chin and swallowing,
Oh, well.
all while holding your breath
Okay.
as you approach climax.
That sounds intense,
It can be.
but effective, I'm presuming.
Yeah. So they were literally using these physical techniques to manipulate energy flow.
Right.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. I'm wondering, though, do we know if any modern couples have tried these practices?
They have. In fact, the book mentions one couple, Alex and Leslie,
Okay.
who used the idea of the sexual elixir
Okay.
to create this playful sense of anticipation throughout the day. So they would send each other suggestive messages
Okay.
or engage in little brief moments of touch,
I like that.
which kind of built up to more exciting and satisfying intimacy later on.
So they're taking this ancient concept and making it relevant to their modern lives.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, so we've got the Chinese approach to cultivating and channeling sexual energy. What other ancient wisdom awaits?
Well, let's move on to India
Okay.
and explore the world of Tantra.
Ooh, Tantra.
So while the Tao of Love focuses on energy in a more general sense, Tantra is specifically about elevating lovemaking
Right.
to a sacred spiritual experience.
So it's not just about physical pleasure.
No.
It's about something deeper.
Yeah, a deeper connection
Okay.
with yourself, with your partner, with maybe even something bigger.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, did they have specific practices or techniques to achieve this?
Oh, yeah, they had a whole bunch.
Okay.
So one that the book mentions is called the turning position.
The turning position. Okay.
And it comes from the Kama Sutra.
Ooh, the Kama Sutra.
And it's this position that's said to allow for prolonged and visually stimulating intercourse.
All right.
They also had rituals,
Like what?
like one called weaving the sensory.
Weaving the sensory.
Yeah, and it involves using all 5 senses to arouse desire during foreplay.
Oh, I like that.
Right.
That's interesting. So they're really engaging all the senses
Yes.
to make it a more holistic experience.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, so was it really about achieving some sort of spiritual state through these practices?
They're the tantric practitioners.
Yeah.
They believed that by bringing full awareness to each sensation and treating their partner as a manifestation of the divine,
Okay.
they could transcend the purely physical
Okay.
and experience this state of like unity and bliss.
That's really fascinating. It's like turning lovemaking into a form of meditation
It is.
or a spiritual practice.
Yep.
I'm wondering, does the book give any examples of modern couples using these techniques?
It does. So one couple, Tom and Rebecca,
Okay.
they use this tantric principle of honoring the divine in their partner
Okay.
to overcome communication issues and criticism
Interesting.
that they were having in their relationship.
So it's not just about the sexual experience.
Yeah.
It's about improving the relationship as a whole.
It can be a tool for that.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so by focusing on appreciation and respect,
Okay.
they were able to kind of shift the dynamic and create a more loving and fulfilling connection.
So it's about changing your mindset
Yes.
and the way you approach the whole experience.
Exactly.
Instead of just focusing on your own needs,
All right.
you're cultivating this sense of reverence
Yes.
for your partner.
Yes.
I like that. That's a powerful example of how these ancient practices can still be relevant to modern relationships. Okay, so we've got China and India.
Where to next?
Where to next? Let's see. I'm feeling a little adventurous, so maybe Egypt.
Ooh, Egypt. They were all about what they called sex magic.
Sex magic.
Yes.
All right, you've got my attention. What did they do?
Well, one of their practices was anointing each other with fragrant oils.
I can picture like Cleopatra lounging around in a scented bath.
Yeah,
So it's like a very sensual experience.
it was. But it wasn't just foreplay. It was a ritual
Okay.
meant to connect with the divine and enhance the experience.
So they're using sensuality as a pathway to the spiritual realm.
They are.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and the book actually mentions a modern couple,
Okay.
Nick and Karen,
Okay.
who incorporated this anointing ritual into their lovemaking.
So,
And they found that it revitalized their passion and created a deeper sense of intimacy.
so another example of how these ancient practices can have a positive impact on modern relationships. What else did the Egyptians do in the realm of sex magic?
Well, they also use visualization and energy work during intercourse.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they believed they could channel energy to manifest desires,
Oh, wow.
achieve a deeper connection,
Okay.
even access higher states of consciousness.
That's pretty advanced stuff.
It is.
I'm also curious about something else. Did they have same-sex relationships in ancient Egypt?
They did.
They did.
Yeah. So the historical record shows that same-sex relationships were present in ancient Egypt. And while we don't have like a complete understanding of their social norms,
Right.
there's evidence suggesting they were more accepting
Okay.
of diverse sexual expressions
Interesting.
than a lot of other cultures at the time.
So they were ahead of their time in some ways.
It seems that way.
Okay, so we've got sex magic,
Mm-hmm.
a more open view of sexuality than we might expect.
Yeah.
What other intriguing practices did the Egyptians have up their sleeve?
Okay, this one's a little unusual.
Okay, well, lay it on me.
It's called cat worshipping.
Cat worshipping,
Yeah.
like literally worshiping cats.
Well, it was inspired by the goddess Bastet,
Yeah.
so cats were sacred in their culture.
Right.
And this ritual involved embodying feline characteristics
Yep.
during lovemaking.
So like literally pretending to be cat.
I'm not quite.
Yeah.
It was more about tapping into certain feline qualities.
Okay.
Like, think prowling, teasing, and embracing a more playful and primal energy.
So they were trying to unleash a wilder, more uninhibited side of themselves.
Okay. I can see how that could be fun.
And the book mentions a couple, Joel and Julie,
Mm-hmm.
who incorporated this ritual
All right.
and found that it boosted their confidence and passion.
I like it. So we've explored the Tao of love in China, the spiritual depths of Tantra in India, and the sex magic of ancient Egypt. Where are we headed next?
Let's venture into the Middle East
Okay.
and delve into their rich and often misunderstood sexual history.
All right. The Middle East, I'm ready.
Okay.
What do they have to offer?
Well, one fascinating concept is hieroskamos.
Hieroskamos.
It's a sacred marriage ritual practiced in ancient Mesopotamia.
Okay.
involving a symbolic union between a king and a priestess to promote fertility and abundance.
That sounds incredibly romantic and ceremonial. What exactly did it entail?
Well, the ritual involved creating this royal bed,
A royal bed.
adorned with symbolic items, setting a fertility wish, and engaging in specific positions meant to enhance connection and spiritual energy. It was about infusing the act of lovemaking with a sense of sacredness and intention. Wow, so it wasn't just about physical gratification, it was about connecting with something larger than themselves.
Yes.
Okay, and does the book mention any modern couples trying this?
It does.
Okay.
Melanie and Jonathan.
All right.
They adapted this ritual to deepen their own connection and manifest abundance in their lives.
Interesting. That's a fascinating example of how these ancient practices can still hold relevance today. What else can we learn from the Middle East?
Well, they also had what was called the phallic dance, a fertility rite, where women danced around a pole to arouse desire and celebrate the masculine principle.
Wait, are we talking about pole dancing?
Yeah, believe it or not.
That's an ancient practice.
It is.
Yeah.
Of course, the context and meaning were different back then.
Right.
But it shows that certain forms of erotic expression have very deep roots.
I'm learning so much. It's amazing to see these connections between ancient and modern practices.
It is.
And did anyone in the book try this?
Yeah, so there's a story about Katie, a woman who overcame her inhibitions and embraced pole dancing as a way to connect with her sensuality and spice up her relationship with her husband.
I love that. It's a reminder that sometimes we can find inspiration in unexpected places. What else do they have going on in the Middle East?
They also had the spiral dance practice in Catalhurk,
Okay.
which is in modern-day Turkey.
Okay.
This dance was often combined with sexual rites and was believed to create a transcendent experience.
So it's like using movement to shift your state of mind and connect with a different kind of energy.
Exactly. And the book suggests that modern couples can adapt this dance by incorporating spinning, twirling, and rhythmic movements to create a liberating and potentially ecstatic experience.
Okay, I am adding that to my list of things to try. It sounds incredible. So we've got China, India, Egypt, the Middle East. Where to next?
Let's travel to medieval Europe
Okay.
and step into the world of romantic chivalry.
All right, now we're talking knights, castles, courtly love. I've always been fascinated by that era. What kind of sexual wisdom did they have to offer?
Well, one of the defining concepts of that time was courtly love,
Courtly love, okay.
where knights sought to embody the heart of the lover,
The heart of the lover.
by demonstrating courage, devotion, and even vulnerability in their romantic pursuits.
It's interesting that vulnerability was considered a strength in that context.
It was.
How did they express this heart of the lover?
Well, through romantic gestures, of course, but also through poetry.
Okay.
They practiced something called poetic foreplay,
Poetic foreplay.
using poetry readings and erotic language to stimulate desire and set the stage for passionate lovemaking.
That's so romantic.
Uh,
Does the book give any examples of modern couples doing this?
Yeah, so Dan and Marie, a couple featured in the book, they used this heart of the lover concept to infuse their relationship with more courage and passion. And they found that by embracing both strength and vulnerability, they created more thrilling and meaningful sexual encounters.
So they're taking inspiration from the past to enhance their present experience.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, what else can we glean from medieval Europe?
They also had this tradition of courting love, where women actually set the rules of courtship.
Oh.
So men had to prove their worthiness through actions and romantic gestures.
Not just words.
It's just words.
So it's all about wooing and winning over the lady's heart.
Exactly.
I can see how that would make a woman feel valued and desired.
Mm-hmm.
And are there any modern couples that do this?
Yeah, the book mentions Janet and Robert,
Duck?
who incorporated this ritual into their relationship
Okay.
and found that it brought a renewed sense of romance and sexual fulfillment.
It's amazing how these ancient practices can still be so relevant today. So we've got China, India, Egypt, the Middle East, medieval Europe.
I'm sensing a pattern here. It seems like all of these cultures had a more holistic and intentional approach to sexuality than we often see in modern times.
Yeah, that's a great observation.
Like, it wasn't just about the physical act.
It was about connecting with your shelf, your partner, even the divine. I'm definitely feeling inspired to try some of these things out.
Good.
But before we get into specific techniques, let's continue our journey and explore what the Americas have to offer.
Sounds good. Let's delve into the shamanic traditions of the indigenous cultures
Okay.
and see what wisdom they have to share.
All right.
All right. So one of the core concepts in many indigenous cultures is the medicine wheel,
The medicine wheel.
a symbol representing the cycle of life and the balance of different aspects of existence. And in many traditions, sexuality is placed at the very center of this wheel.
Oh, wow. So they saw sexuality as a central force in life,
They did.
not something separate or taboo.
No, it was essential.
Interesting.
Yeah. They believed that sexual energy could be harnessed for healing spiritual growth and connection with the divine. And they developed practices to cultivate and channel this energy.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
What kind of practices did they have?
Well, one example is the sacred body awakening process, which involved visualizing and tying off negative energy filaments.
Tying off energy filaments.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So it's a symbolic act of releasing any negative energy or blocks
Okay.
that might be hindering sexual connection and pleasure.
Okay.
And by visualizing this, they believe they could create a freer flow of energy between partners.
It's like they're using visualization to clear away any emotional baggage
Mm-hmm.
or negative patterns that might be getting in the way.
Exactly.
The true intimacy.
Mhm.
I like that.
And the book actually mentions a modern couple, Kayla and JC,
Okay.
who incorporated this practice into their lives
Okay.
and found that it deepened their connection with each other and with nature, leading to a more fulfilling sexual relationship.
So yet another example of how ancient wisdom can have a profound impact on modern relationships. What else can we learn from the indigenous cultures of the Americas?
They also had this very unique understanding of sexual compatibility,
Sexual compatibility.
okay, which was based on 9 types of male and female genitalia.
9 types. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Okay, so each type was categorized by animal names
Interesting.
and had a corresponding position on the medicine wheel.
Okay.
And understanding these types was believed to enhance pleasure and satisfaction during intimacy.
So it's like they had a system for understanding different body types and how they work together.
Exactly.
That's incredibly insightful.
And the book even shares a story about Cindy and Bob, a couple who used this knowledge to overcome previous frustration and significantly enhance their pleasure.
That's really amazing. It's like a whole new way of approaching sexual compatibility beyond just, personality or shared interests.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got energy cultivation in China, spiritual connection in India, sex magic in Egypt, ritual and intention in the Middle East, romantic chivalry in Europe, and a holistic understanding of sexuality in the Americas. This is a lot to process,
It is.
but it's just a taste of the incredible diversity
It is.
and depth of ancient sexual wisdom.
Yes.
And while some of these practices may seem unusual
They might.
or even challenging, Shice, they all offer valuable insights into the human experience of intimacy and pleasure.
Absolutely.
And I think the key takeaway here is that sexuality is not just a physical act.
Right.
It's a complex and multifaceted aspect of our being that can be explored and celebrated in countless ways.
Exactly. And by learning from the past, we can open ourselves up to new possibilities and create richer and more fulfilling experiences in the present.
Well said. I'm definitely feeling inspired to delve deeper into some of these practices and see how they can enhance my own life. But first, we need to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more insights from 1,000 Years of Sexual Wisdom. Okay, we are back and ready to continue our exploration of 1,000 Years of Sexual Wisdom. We've already covered a lot of ground from China to the Americas,
We have.
but there's still so much more to uncover.
So much.
And for this next leg of our journey, we're heading north to Scandinavia,
Oh, Scandinavia.
which, they have a reputation for being pretty open-minded about sex.
They do.
But I always thought that was more of a recent development.
You'd be surprised.
Really?
Yeah, it goes way back.
Huh. Okay, so tell me, what can we learn from their ancient traditions?
Well, one fascinating custom was called night courtship.
Night courtship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Imagine unmarried men and women gathering for what were essentially musical serenades.
Okay.
The men would try to impress the women with their songs, hoping to earn an invitation for a little nighttime visit.
So it was kind of like a musical competition
Yeah, kind
for
of.
intimacy.
You could say that.
Interesting.
Yeah, and if a man was lucky enough to be invited in,
Okay.
the intimacy progressed gradually,
Okay.
starting with sleeping fully clothed,
Uh-huh.
then maybe under the covers.
Okay.
It was a slow buildup.
That's so different from how we think about dating today.
Right.
Like, it seems like they had a much more gradual approach to intimacy.
They did, and it suggests a surprisingly permissive attitude towards premarital sex and exploration for that era.
Yeah, that's pretty surprising.
Oh, wait.
Wonder what societal factors might have contributed to this openness.
That's a great question.
Was it something about their climate, their
Yeah.
beliefs?
There are probably a lot of factors at play,
Right.
and it's something historians are still exploring.
Yeah.
But one thing that stands out is their strong connection to nature.
Okay.
They saw the body as natural and sacred, and that might have influenced their views on sexuality as well.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
And speaking of embracing the natural fiber, they also have a long tradition of naturism, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Naturism or nudism.
Yeah.
It's very much ingrained in their culture.
Uh-huh.
Like they have nude beaches, resorts, even social gatherings where clothing is optional. Wow, that's pretty far removed from the norms in many other parts of the world.
It is.
But I'm curious, does the book suggest that this comfort with nudity actually has benefits for intimacy?
It does.
Okay, how so?
Well, the idea is that by shedding your inhibitions and accepting your body, you become more confident and comfortable in your own skin, which translates to more enjoyable and uninhibited sex.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like you're taking away that layer of self-judgment
Right.
and just being present in the moment with your partner,
Exactly.
appreciating them for who they are, not how they look.
Precisely. And the book even gives examples of modern couples who've embraced naturism and found it transformative for their relationship.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Okay, so one couple, Guy and Kim,
Okay.
they started out with very different comfort levels with nudity.
Okay.
Kim was more open to it while Guy was a bit hesitant. But after trying a nudist resort vacation,
Okay.
Guy's inhibitions completely disappeared.
Wow.
And they both experienced this newfound sexual confidence and freedom.
That's amazing.
It can be.
It sounds like it could be a really powerful way to break down barriers and connect to your partner on a deeper level.
It can be, but I can imagine it takes a certain level of trust and vulnerability to even consider something like that.
For sure, for sure.
But for those who are willing to explore it,
Yeah.
it can be an incredibly liberating and enriching experience.
Okay, so we've got night courtship and naturism.
Yeah.
What other Scandinavian secrets can we unlock?
Let's talk about massage.
Ooh, massage.
Specifically, Swedish massage.
Ah, Swedish massage.
Now that's something I can get behind.
Relaxing, sensual.
Exactly, and while it's now widely known for its therapeutic benefits,
Right.
it also has a history as a sensual form of foreplay.
So it's not just about working out those knots in your shoulders.
Not at all.
Okay.
The book details the 5 basic strokes of Swedish massage:
Okay.
effleurage, petrissage, tapotement, friction, and vibration.
Those are some fancy words.
They are!
Break it down for me. What do they actually mean?
Okay, so effleurage is all about long gliding strokes.
Ah.
Using the palms of your hands
Mhm.
to create a soothing and relaxing sensation.
Okay.
Petrissage involves kneading and squeezing the muscles,
Okay.
which can be both stimulating and tension relieving.
Got it. So one is more about gentle touch. The other is a bit deeper and more invigorating.
Exactly.
What about those other techniques?
Okay, so tapotement is like rhythmic tapping or percussion movements,
Okay.
which can be quite invigorating.
Okay.
Friction is using circular motions to warm up the muscles and increase circulation.
Okay.
And vibration involves using your fingertips or the heel of your hand to create a gentle shaking or trembling sensation.
Wow. There's a whole lot more to massage than I realized.
There is.
It's like an art form.
It is, and the book suggests using these techniques to create a sensual and pleasurable experience for your partner.
Okay, but how do we actually apply these techniques in a, sexy way?
Well, you can incorporate them into foreplay
Okay.
by focusing on erogenous zones like the back, neck, shoulders, thighs, and buttocks.
Okay.
Start with gentle effleurage strokes to warm up the body,
Mm-hmm.
then gradually introduce other techniques like petrissage and friction.
Okay.
Pay attention to your partner's responses and adjust your touch accordingly.
So it's about communication
Yes.
and being attuned to your partner's needs, not just going through the motions.
Exactly.
Makes sense. It's a two-way street after all.
It is.
What about during sex itself?
Yes.
Can these massage techniques be used then?
Absolutely. The book suggests using some of the same strokes, particularly effleurage and friction during intercourse,
Okay.
to add another layer of sensation and connection.
So it's about making it more than just a physical act.
Exactly.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to see the possibilities here.
Good.
But I have to ask, are there any other tips or techniques from the book that we can actually, use in the bedroom?
Oh, there are tons.
Really?
Yeah, in fact, let's shift gears and dive into some specific examples from each of the cultures we've discussed so far.
Okay.
Remember, the key is to adapt these practices to your own comfort level and explore what works for you and your partner.
That sounds great. Where do we start?
Let's go back to ancient China
Okay.
and revisit that breath of pleasure technique we talked about earlier. It's a simple yet powerful way to build sexual energy during foreplay.
Okay. Remind me how it works again.
So it involves deep, synchronized breathing while contracting the pelvic floor muscles.
Okay.
Imagine you're drawing energy up from your root chakra, that energy center at the base of your spine.
Okay.
As you inhale, contract those muscles. As you exhale, release.
So it's like a Kegel exercise, but with a more sensual focus.
Exactly. And the key is to do it together, synchronizing your breath with your partners.
Okay.
It creates a sense of connection and builds anticipation.
I can see how that would be pretty intense.
Yeah.
What about the power lock technique? That one sounded pretty intriguing, but also a little complicated.
It can be a bit tricky to master,
Yeah.
but it's definitely worth exploring.
Okay.
Remember, it involves curling your toes under, tightening your buttocks and thighs, tucking your chin, and swallowing.
Right. All at the same time.
All at the same time.
Okay.
And the book suggests holding your breath for a moment as you feel the orgasm building,
Okay.
then releasing it as the energy flows through you.
Wow. Okay. I'm adding that to my to-do list.
Yeah.
What about some tantric techniques? That weaving the sensory ritual sounded incredibly sensual.
It is, and it's all about using all 5 senses to arouse desire during foreplay.
Right.
Think about sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell.
So like creating a multi-sensory experience.
Exactly. And the book has some great examples. You could use scented candles, soft music, silk scarves for touch, even small bites of fruit for taste.
I love that it's like turning your bedroom into a sensual playground.
Exactly. And the key is to really slow down and savor each sensation, bringing your full awareness to the experience.
Okay, getting some ideas. What about some tips from ancient Egypt? That anointing ritual sounds amazing.
It is, and it's surprisingly easy to incorporate into modern lovemaking.
Okay, how so?
Simply choose a fragrant oil that you both enjoy and
Okay.
take turns anointing each other's bodies.
This is like a sensual massage with a spiritual twist.
Exactly. The book suggests using long flowing strokes, paying attention to each part of the body, and really taking your time.
And this was their way of connecting with the divine.
In a way, yes, it was about honoring the body as sacred
Yeah.
and using sensual touch to enhance both pleasure and spiritual connection.
That's beautiful. Okay,
Yeah.
what about some techniques from the Middle East? How can we bring a little Heroes Gamos into our lives?
Well, the key elements of that ritual were creating a royal bed,
Okay.
setting a fertility wish,
Mm-hmm.
and engaging in specific positions.
Okay, break that down for me. What does it mean to create a royal bed?
It's about setting the scene for a special and sacred experience. You could adorn your bed with beautiful fabrics, candles, flowers, anything that feels luxurious and sensual.
And the fertility wish.
That's about setting an intention for the experience, something you want to bring more of into your lives, whether it's passion, love, or even abundance.
So it's like a manifestation practice through lovemaking.
Exactly. And as for specific positions, the book describes several, but the focus is on positions that allow for deep connection, eye contact, and a sense of reverence.
I can see how that would make the experience more meaningful.
Yeah.
What about that phallic dance? Any tips for incorporating that into modern intimacy?
Well, while the original ritual involved women dancing around a pole, you can adapt it by simply embracing a more confident and sensual energy during lovemaking.
Okay.
Maybe try incorporating some playful movements, props like scarves or ribbons, or even some light dancing before things get heated.
So it's about embracing a different kind of sensuality, a
Well-
more playful and expressive energy.
Exactly. And the book emphasizes that the key is to find what feels good for you
Yeah.
and to approach it with a sense of fun and exploration.
I love that. What about some shamanic wisdom from the Americas?
Oh, yeah.
That sacred body awakening ceremony sounded pretty powerful.
It is. And while the traditional ceremony involved specific visualizations,
Yeah.
you can adapt it by simply bringing a more mindful awareness to your body and your partner's body during intimacy.
So it's about being present in the moment, really feeling the sensations and connecting with each other on a deeper level.
Exactly, and the book suggests exploring different ways to connect with the natural elements during lovemaking, such as incorporating natural scent sounds or even making love outdoors if you have a private space.
Okay, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
I'm definitely feeling inspired to try some of these things.
That's great. And remember, the key is to approach this with curiosity, openness and a willingness to experiment.
Right.
What works for one couple may not work for another. So find what feels good for you and enjoy the journey of exploration.
That's such great advice. But before we wrap things up, I have to ask, what about Scandinavia? Any practical tips from their tradition of naturism or those sensual Swedish massage techniques?
Absolutely, we've got plenty more to share about those practices.
Well, I'm all ears. Let's dive back into those Scandinavian secrets.
Okay, we're back and ready to unlock those Scandinavian secrets.
We were talking about naturism before the break.
We were.
And, it's about being comfortable with nudity, but I'm still a little fuzzy on how we actually apply that to modern life. Beyond just hanging out naked at home.
Right.
Well, it's all about expanding your comfort zone gradually. Start by incorporating more nudity into your daily routine.
Okay.
Maybe spend some time naked after a shower. Try sleeping naked.
Yeah.
Or even do some chores around the house in the buff.
Okay, I see. So it's like desensitizing yourself to the idea of being naked,
Exact.
making it less of a big deal.
Right. And as you become more comfortable, you can explore other options.
Like what?
Like clothing optional beaches or resorts, or even joining a naturist club if you're feeling adventurous.
Okay, so that could help build confidence and a more positive body image.
It can.
But I'm still curious, how does it actually translate to better sex?
Well, it removes that layer of self-consciousness both for yourself and your partner.
Okay.
When you're both completely comfortable with your bodies, it allows for more freedom, spontaneity,
Okay.
and a deeper sense of connection during intimacy.
That makes sense. It's like taking away that mental barrier and just being fully present in the moment,
Right.
appreciating your partner for who they are, not how they look.
Precisely. And the book emphasizes that it's not about judging your body or your partner's body.
Okay.
It's about acceptance, appreciation, and celebrating the natural beauty of the human form.
I love that it's a really healthy and positive way of looking at nudity.
It is.
Okay, let's move on to the Swedish massage techniques.
Okay.
A wonderful way to incorporate sensual touch into intimacy. And it's not just about the physical sensations, right?
No.
It's about the connection, the intimacy, the act of giving and receiving pleasure.
Exactly.
So how do we go beyond just a basic back rub? How do we make it truly erotic?
Well, the book details the 5 basic strokes of Swedish massage, effleurage, petrissage, tapotements, friction, and vibration.
Right, those fancy words.
Yeah, and how to use them to create a variety of sensations.
Okay, so remind me again what those actually mean and how we can use them.
All right, so effleurage is all about long gliding strokes, using the palms of your hands to create a soothing and relaxing sensation. Petrissage involves kneading and squeezing the muscles, which can be both stimulating and tension relieving.
Okay, got it. So one is more about gentle touch, the other's a bit deeper and more invigorating.
Yeah.
What about the other 3?
Okay, so tapotement involves rhythmic tapping or percussion movements, which can be quite invigorating.
Okay.
Friction is about using circular motions to warm up the muscles and increase circulation. And vibration involves using your fingertips or the heel of your hand to create a gentle shaking or trembling sensation.
Okay, so that's a whole massage vocabulary.
It is.
But how do we actually use these techniques in a, sexy way?
Well, you can incorporate them into foreplay
Okay.
by focusing on erogenous zones like the back, neck, shoulders, thighs, and buttocks.
Oh, yeah.
Start with gentle effleurage strokes to warm up the body, then gradually introduce other techniques like petrissage and friction.
Okay.
Pay attention to your partner's responses and adjust your touch accordingly.
So it's all about communication and being attuned to your partner's needs, not just going through the motions.
Exactly.
That it's a two-way street.
It is.
And don't be afraid to get creative, right?
Oh no, be creative. Like, what could we do?
You can use scented oils, play with temperature by using warm towels or cool stones,
Ooh, I like that.
or even incorporate light feather touches for a more teasing sensation.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, this is giving me some ideas.
Good.
But what about during sex itself? Can massage techniques be used then too?
Absolutely. The book suggests using some of the same strokes, particularly effleurage and friction during intercourse.
Okay.
For example, the man could use long gliding strokes along the woman's body as he thrusts, or the woman could use circular motions on the man's back or chest.
So it's about adding another layer of sensation and connection,
Yeah,
making it more than just a physical act.
exactly. And it can be a really fun way to experiment and find what feels good for both of you.
Wow, I'm feeling so inspired by all this ancient wisdom. It's incredible how these practices from different cultures can still be relevant and even enhance our intimate lives today. I know, me too.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, and it reminds us that sexuality is this universal human experience with a rich history and a vast array of possibilities for exploration and enjoyment.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into 1,000 years of sexual wisdom, I'm left with one question.
Okay.
If these ancient cultures celebrated sexuality so openly and creatively, what can we learn from them about embracing pleasure and intimacy in our own lives?
That's a great question, and I think it challenges us to reconsider our own beliefs and attitudes towards sexuality. Maybe
Yeah.
we can be more open to experimentation, to connecting with our bodies and our partners in new ways, and to celebrating the beauty and power of this fundamental human experience.
I love that. So to our listeners, we encourage you to explore these ideas, to experiment, and to discover what works for you. And most importantly, have fun.
Yes, have fun, and until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.